our prisons are filled with all these physical men
Right.
with little boys' hearts, broken hearts.
The statistic of fatherless boys in
Yes.
prison, what do they almost make up 80% of prisons?
It's huge.
It says something.
Welcome to Hey Dad Podcast. Real dads, tough issues, and a genuine love for a fatherless generation.
What is a man? Is a man brave? Is a man a hero? Is a man a protector? Is a man vulnerable? Is a man disposable? Is a man broken? Is a man trying? We see the good in men.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we lost our brother in arms, Chris Lawler. His son wasn't feeling well, so he had to take a break, but he'll be back. I'm with Frank Lamelli today. Frank's back.
Oh, yeah, I'm back.
And I'm Rick
back.
Rivera. Welcome, and we're glad you guys are joining us. We've been very surprised and happy with the response. We read your comments on YouTube, and they bless us, and we love it. Even the negative comments were very respectful, and I thought, okay, that's nice. We don't have to agree, but we appreciate it. We welcome it. It brings us a lot of joy and kind of encouraging. And we're just really blessed by how many people are subscribing to the channel. We hope that more of you subscribe and like and share. The only reward really for us is the fact that we want to call young men and men to a godly life of being masculine in the right direction. And that video, it's a hard one to watch.
Yes, it is.
It starts really sad, and it talks about kind of the woes of manhood. Is a man brave? Yeah, sometimes we're brave. Sometimes we're not. I have stories when I didn't do everything I could do, and I took the less than brave route. And honestly, those are kind of regrets in my life. I almost wish I could go in a time machine and relive that moment and do it different. But hey, it is what it is, and we learn from it, and we move on, and we grow. But so does a man have to be brave in this day and age?
Well, I mean, there's different ways you can describe bravery. I mean, I think that if you're doing some of the things, like, for instance, they show the firefighters and they show a man embracing his daughter. I mean, I believe one of the things that are kind of coming to my mind right now is I think a brave man can go to his daughter and hold her and truly let her know that she's going to be okay.
Yeah.
because he's not going to leave.
Right.
I think that's brave.
Yeah.
You know, to stand in the gap between a friendship, to embrace your wife, and even though you're scared, because guys, come on, I mean, we get scared, and we have a lot on our shoulders. But if you can, I've done this. I've been concerned and scared about certain situations that in my mind, I'm thinking, if this doesn't go right, it could put us in a different direction. But I'm brave enough to come to my wife and say, hey, look, we're going to be okay. But I'm not just saying that. We're going to be okay because God is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know he's not going to let go of me.
That calm confidence, it's contagious. Just like panic and fear is contagious, calm confidence is contagious. So sometimes as the men, sometimes we need to stuff down that fear and just put on a brave face and get through it for those around you. It's not always easy, and I'm not saying we can't have our moments. Of course, we're flesh and blood with weaknesses too. But if we want to aspire to something, let's aspire to be the calm in the storm. Let's be the one telling everyone it's going to be okay and leading them to let it be okay. So in this commercial, it shows men compromise 97% of war casualties. I'll be honest, I'm a little shocked that it's not a little bit higher.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, what is it about young men? And I'm looking at our producer / my son, Mark. What is it about young men that want to go to war?
You asking me?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to say that.
Come on. Why?
Go to war?
Yeah.
What do you mean want to go to war?
Young men are the ones who enlist.
Yeah.
Look at that. We have men flying to Ukraine to go fight in Ukraine.
I think because it's immediate purpose. You don't have any purpose. You don't serve a function. You don't feel like you have done anything of value.
Yeah.
And so that's like a
hill to charge.
Yeah.
A hill to
Like
charge.
shortcut to like feeling like you're contributing something, you know?
That's an interesting way to say it.
From experience of friends that, you know, I graduated in 85, and a lot of my friends went to the Marines, and some of them was because they had nothing that they looked forward to. So they figured that would be something like fulfilling that part, or maybe doing something that was going to make them feel good. But a lot of these guys, after they went there, they really didn't know what they were getting into. So now they're being thrown into these situations where now they got to face life like no other man has to. And then what happens is we don't see it, but there's a lot of these guys that crumble. They're scared. There's fear.
Yeah.
And a lot of them get killed.
Yeah.
And a lot of them come back.
Oh,
right.
yeah. That's part of the challenge.
I think it's like you said, it's like an immediate, like, yeah, this is cool. I want to do this because it's right, you know, and then there's some of that manliness type thing, and I'm going to come back, you know, but it's not like that.
But it's funny though. It's in us. It's in us. And I think it's a positive thing in us, but I think we could turn it into something that's not positive, you know?
Very easily.
But hey, men fight, men go to war, and some wars, sometimes we have to step up against evil.
Well, forever there's been the warrior in us.
Yeah.
You know, and we've seen and read about so many, you know, leaders and warriors. I remember some time back, I would pray this prayer and I would say, Lord, I want to be a warrior for you. Mm-hmm. But I'll be very honest with you. When I was saying that, I pictured myself as someone who can carry that sword for him, or someone that can fight the fight. Mm-hmm. But again, like those boys that go into the Marines or the Army, I really didn't know what I was saying. Mm. I just had this picture in my mind of what that is, and it makes you feel, as a man, even when you tell yourself that, it makes you feel like this person that is just powerful and strong, and you have that purpose-driven idea of, you know, this is why I want to do it. But once it gets down to the nitty-gritty and you understand what that really means, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. You know, it also says 79% of all homicide victims are male. Wow.
That's something that we know very
It
well.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. You know, it's funny, if I just parallel my life to my wife's, you know, I'm from Boyle Heights originally, raised in LA. I've been shot at. And not for anything I did, just
been around that.
Been in the wrong place at the wrong time type thing. But if I look at my wife's life, she would have never been in that situation. You know what I mean? Like, we're just more aggressive. We put ourselves out there more. We're the ones who usually are in the fights. We're the ones who are usually out late at night, you know, especially young men. We live closer to the razor's edge, if you will, or more the tip of the spear more, and there's a consequence. But 79%.
You know, one of the things that I take a lot of interest in, and I'll go through that phase of, I like to watch programs that have to do with the prisons and the men and the young kids in prison. Mm-hmm. And then I stop because it's heartbreaking. I mean, I've wept when I watch these documentaries. I have wept, and everything I hear, they're all these little boys. They're grown men, big men, of all races. Okay, whites, blacks, Hispanics, you name it, Chinese, Japanese, whatever. But they're little boys.
Yeah,
and they break down, and they start saying, you know, I grew up like this, and my father was never there. My grandmother raised me.
Yeah.
My mom was out doing her thing, but my grandma was the one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the only thing I had was the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so our prisons are filled with all these physical men,
right,
with little boys' hearts, broken hearts.
The statistic of fatherless boys in prison, what do they almost make up 80% of prisons?
It's huge.
It says something. It says
there
something.
isn't one person that I've heard, these guys that are in prison for some really heavy stuff, that say, well, you know what, my dad was there, but I chose not to listen to him. None. They're all, he was missing or he was the same. And he introduced me into this.
Right. Yeah, that's a sad reality. Men account for 80% of suicide victims. Ouch.
You know, that number I didn't know was, for some reason, I figured boys or men more, but I didn't think it was that high.
80%. That's crazy. I think part of the challenge is one is a lot of men don't have a purpose in life. What I love about Christianity is, and this is going to sound weird, but it gives you a reason to die.
Yeah.
It gives you a cause holy and high enough that you're willing to give your life for it.
You got to explain that so it's not misunderstood.
Exactly. But it gives you purpose at a high level. That's one of the things a lot of people are missing in life, their purpose in life. So a lot of men just going around and they fill it with stuff. Cars, jet skis. And I love cars, and I rented a jet ski when we went camping, and I had so much fun on it. So to understand what I'm saying, but they put these things in the center of their life.
Yeah, all material.
Sitting in quiet desperation, trying to find reason. And they're search for it in all these things, and none of them satisfy. You know, it's funny. Like the commercial we were watching was Egard watches, right? And I love watches.
Yeah,
I'm a watch guy. Yeah, I always see a big watch. I love watches. I love brands of watches. I love mechanical watches. But you know, it's funny. No matter how high you get, I bought a $300 watch. Well, there's a $50,000 watch.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with cars.
Yeah.
You can get the car. There's always the next level that you're falling short from. And because that level is going to get old.
There's no ceiling to that.
Exactly. But there's no real satisfaction to it. What would you die for that? Would you die for a jet ski? Would you know? No. But in Christianity, you submit your life to a king. Now you have a cause and you have a purpose. But I'm talking about real buy-in. Yeah. I'm talking about devote your life. Are you going to submit your life to, or are you going to put your tippy toe in the water? You know, or like we said in the last episode, are you going to sit in the stands and clap, or are you going to jump on the field and play? There's a real level of jumping. And when I'm talking about jumping in, I'm talking about really diving into the Word of God and understanding who God is and opening your heart to who He is and everything He is. And that's what I'm talking about at that high level of
with this
commitment.
Stat or these stats, okay, I want to ask you something. Why do you think, okay, because growing up, the girl's the one that's left with the kids.
Yeah.
My wife, I married her with 2 babies, and I accepted the whole package. But before me, and I won't go into detail, but before me, she went through so much with these two little boys, this little girl and this little boy. A man doesn't do that. A man just walks away from it. So I understand, especially nowadays, women are speaking out. Women are saying, hey, we're strong, which you are. You are. But it's not about the physical. It's not about you're dumber and we're smarter. It's not about that you're weaker and I'm stronger. It's the place that we're called to fill. God has order, and He has put everything into perspective where you can find out what all that order and the balance and the roles that we play. But what I wanted to ask is, girls have been left too. Why is it that a female will go to the ends of the earth to feed her babies, to find a place for them to lay down in?
Yeah.
And men just walk away.
I've thought a lot about this. It seems like men walk away, and it's always not 100%. Well, you're an example that it's not 100%, but 99% of the time it's the woman holding the kids. They love deeper and stronger than us. They could not imagine walking away from that child. Men, what do we do? I'm not saying we, but generally, they leave. They find another woman and they start again. And she's the one stuck with the kids and the primary responsibilities. Women have a tether of love that's just unbelievable. And they live those sacrificial lives in that love. And you have to love them for it. And now we're in a world full of boys pretending to be men who are walking out of these situations. And it's leaving these women there desperate.
Now, I bring this question because of this. And I know that I think we found out that a lot of our viewers are male. Mm-hmm. But ladies, it's not that we don't care about you, we don't think about you. I want to share something. It's also, it relies so much on you. There's so much responsibility that you can teach us how you need to be treated. You can let us know that's not going to happen. You can let us know that we're wrong about in the way that we look at you, we talk to you. And I know that it's tough because I know that it comes to, I don't want to be alone. I'm running around, I'm struggling. So a man that comes along and promises you everything, you fall for that because you trust this man, and this man is not a man. Yeah. This kid is a lost boy, and he's only either after one thing or maybe he has the right mindset of what he wants to do, but he can't do it because he doesn't know how. Right. So what I'm trying to say is your first love, even if you've made the mistake, you've gotten pregnant, you had a child, but even in that situation, your first and only love, the only man you should look to is Jesus Christ, because you are so powerful in how we need to act. We were talking about it before, how if a man doesn't open the door for you, that's not the man you need to be with. That simple thing. If a man can't buy you a rose because he just appreciates you without wanting anything in return, that's not a man for you.
Right. Yep.
And so what I'm trying to say is, we are called to lead. In the Bible, it says we are to be the leaders in our homes. But it also says that we cannot do it without you. Yeah. God would have never put a helper or a mate, a woman by our side, if he knew that, well, we didn't need that because we could just do it on our own. So there'd be a bunch of men going around saying, okay, well, I got this.
That's the whole discussion of complementarian. If you believe in that way, what you're saying is a man's incomplete and a woman's incomplete. Yeah. A man needs a woman's strength and the woman needs a man's strength. I found that to be completely true. My wife brings things to the table that are off my radar. And I bring things to that table that my wife just doesn't want to deal with, that for me are easy, but for her are hard. So we both come in with our strengths, and together it works out so nicely. But if you don't base it on biblical principles, the problem is, and it's funny, we were looking at statistics on the show, 10% of people watching are women, which kind of caught us off guard. And hey, welcome, we're happy you're here. But the truth is, sometimes women, not even knowingly, will knock men down with their words. And it's not even on their radar that they're knocking the man down. I'll give you an example. My wife, she loves looking at houses, the new housing. You know, when they do a new housing track, they'll have 4 or 5 houses you can walk through and see. And she'll walk in and saying how beautiful the house is. And it's so big. And, oh, Ricky, look, we should do this. And, oh, my gosh, if we had this. All I'm hearing is, oh, that little measly house you bought her is not big enough. Boy, did you fail. As hard as you're killing yourself at work, it's not enough. Yeah. She doesn't even understand. She's just thinking about the kids and having family over. All her heart's in totally good attention. But it's breaking. And see, women do that a lot. You guys will break down men and not even realize it. I don't think you women realize how important your words are to us. But a lot of these guys, again, boys pretending to be men, when they start feeling the heat and it's not about them feeling good anymore, they're gone. And that's a problem.
And that's true because girls, women, there's nothing more important than for us to feel like we're making you feel protected. Like we're like you look to, and I know a lot of us don't deserve it because we're schmucks, but I'm talking about, I'm giving you guys a little bit of insight as to, I'm a 55-year-old man, and I'm talking to any 18-year-old and up that can hear this, is you are so important in our lives. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry that a lot of us are just kids. It takes us, you guys grow up, you mature faster than we do. And you're dealt some really bad cards.
Yeah.
But please know that it's a divine design that God has laid out, that it doesn't work with either one or the other. It doesn't work if a woman tries to be a man or if a man tries to be a woman. It doesn't work. It doesn't work if there's two of the same gender. It doesn't work.
Right.
It's a design. It's something that God has orchestrated out of his own know-how, willingness. He knows. And so that's why it speaks about equally yoked. It speaks about becoming one, because there is no other way.
Right.
So girls, you know, I have a daughter. I have 2 daughters, actually. I have a 20-year-old daughter, I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I have a 19-year-old son. And I have other sons that from a previous marriage that are men now. And I haven't done a really great job at being a pillar, but it doesn't stop there. And that's why I can tell you what I can tell you, because going through these things with my daughter, the very first and most important thing that I've seen, and you asked about courage or
being brave or stand against evil and do good.
And I said that one of the very first things that came to my mind is having the courage to embrace you, girls, and come to you and truly know that I will lay down my life for you, because you're a blessing. Mm-hmm. And through you, I'm going to become even a better man. And I know that there's a lot of young kids, a lot of young boys that, well, their dads, you know, they failed them. And I'm not saying that you should justify or feel sorry for them, but just take a little bit more time before you believe or hear. Yeah. Because this very next young man or kid that comes to you and says, I love you, he really doesn't even know what that means.
Yeah. And, you know, too, for men, like what I like about, especially Frank, when you share, there's redemption, there's second chance. Maybe you didn't start right. Maybe that first one didn't work out the way you'd hoped, but you can rebound. You can still be a great father. Yeah. You know, be all over those kids, be up in their business, you know. Here's the hard part. Treat their mother with kindness and respect. Take care of her. Take the short end of the stick. She may have been a bad person to you, but still, for the kids' sake, be that man. Be that man.
Earlier, you were talking about dying. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, we got to explain that, because that's how you come to Christ and when you off yourself.
No,
doesn't mean that.
Not at all.
Is, for instance, in my case, I didn't want to do it. I wanted to, it was all about me. Mm-hmm. But even though God would tell me and show me, it's not about you.
Right.
You know, you got to put the old man down. You know, you got to die to self. You got to, you know, put their needs before yours. And that's what it's talking about. And a lot of us men are like, yeah, but it's because I want to do this and I love to do that. You talked about jet skis and cars, and usually that's what guys are like. Cars are so important, and guns and all, you know. And it's always that. But picture sitting there and being able to just die to self, meaning that you look at your family, your kids and your wife, and they're so happy, and things happen. I mean, it's not always, great, but even though when you sit there and you see that, it's not because of you. Yeah. But it is because of your submission to the Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
Of dying to self, of putting the old man down.
Right.
It's not about you anymore. That is the greatest thing. And then what happens after that? When you do that, God blesses you above and beyond.
True. And let me say this. I've said this before. A woman will always outlove a man.
Oh, yeah.
So you live that sacrificial life you're talking. It's not about me. It's about them. You live that life out, and you're going to have love pour back on you in greater measure. But the one challenge men face is the measure we measure love is, well, how much sex am I getting? No, she's going to give you love by taking care of your children. Your children are going to be healthy. They're going to be loved. Yeah. She's in a healthier state to love them better. The love's going to come back to you in ways that you may not even register as love, but open your eyes. Ask God for that wisdom. Let you see this love coming back at you. Very rarely will a man outlove a woman. Women will outlove men. So live those sacrificial lives, and it'll come back to you. Life will be well. But it's hard. I'm not sitting here like it's not rainbows and butterflies every day. It's really not.
The other day, I have a 8-year-old little girl, and we're laying in bed, all of us on a Sunday. We're just relaxing, and she comes and lays between us, and she puts one hand on my chest and one hand on her mom, and then she, out of the blue, she says, "Papa," she goes, "I love my mom like not more than you." But it's weird because it's like it is more than you. But I love you so much that I will never leave you alone.
Oh.
And I'm like, I understand that.
It's a different kind of love. You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't feel offended or I'm not doing a good job. I totally understand. But before coming to Christ, had I heard that, it would be like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Right.
But I understand that.
Right.
You know, there is a bond that children have with their mothers. They carry them.
It's very special.
That right there.
Very special, yeah.
Just like a man has something that a woman can never have, a woman has something that a man can never have.
Right.
Therefore, you put those two things together.
Right.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I enjoy opening the door for women first. Yeah. The times I've been on buses, I'll get up and give them my seat. I treasure women. I just think they're so beautiful. Yeah. I'm enamored by them. I love what they do. I love how they think so differently, and they're so giving. Yeah. And I thank God my kids have a wonderful woman in their life, my wife, and I'll do anything for her. And that's just how it is, you know?
And, you know, you don't have to do that because a lot of people say, yeah, well, you know, you've been married for so many years. That's why you didn't. No, it doesn't. That part of loving your wife, and I'm speaking about men that either just got married or they're in it a couple of years or they're thinking about getting married. It's not about all those things that the world says about I can't even remember the older the grape, the sweeter the wine and all that. No. With Christ, if you seek him before you marry your wife, you're going to find out that you don't have to be 55. You could be 35. You could be 28 and look at your wife that way.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand how precious and the reason why God put a woman by your side.
Right.
You know, it's not for the sex. It's not because it's supposed to happen that way. It's not because of any other reason than the fact that, again, I'll repeat it, it's a divine design that he put together, that he knows what the outcome's going to be if it's done correctly.
The desire for a woman, and it's God-given. Don't feel any shame for your desire. It's God-given. The world will pervert that and turn it into something it's not. But the desire comes from God to be with a woman. Instinctively, spiritually, we know we want to connect with a woman and become one with her, and vice versa. You know, I don't see what women see in men. I just don't. I think men are disgusting. We're hairy and we're weird and man. But
and we all end up with a beer belly or more.
I know it doesn't end well, but you know, but I really admire women. I love women. I respect women. And one of those things is like you're talking about. They usually are the ones left raising the kids. And some guys do right. Some guys rebound from a divorce and they do the best they can. And God bless you guys for stepping up and doing the right thing. But others don't. Others is just, it's almost like the dog off the leash and they're gone. And if you're one of those guys, life is a life of second chances. Go back. Tell your kids you're sorry. Explain.
And you know, Rick, I've told you many times that I like to be as transparent as I can. And I want to share something with you guys, those who don't have kids or even those that have kids, whether you're married or not. But let me tell you what's one of the hardest things to confront and to come to terms with and to really look at yourself in the mirror with. I was in the world and I never hit a woman or nothing like that. But if I had an opportunity to get in a girl's pants, I would. Okay? Now I have daughters. What am I telling my daughters? I'm trying to protect them from that guy that was like me.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, if I've been a father hasn't been right in the past, what is my daughter going to say? Oh, really? Look at you, what you did. What do you do with that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, now guys, what I'm trying to say is this is, you're young, you're thinking, who cares? You're going to get old. You're going to get married.
Yeah.
And you're going to have, hopefully, a chance. I'm sorry to say it like this, but if you've been a dog, then you're going to be looking for whoever will take you. And if you have daughters, it's going to break your heart. If you were never there and now your daughter is being used the way you used somebody's
you
daughter.
see it from the other perspective.
It's not nice.
Yeah.
It's not pretty.
Stop. Honestly, stop.
Please
don't use.
think about that.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny. It's a circumstance where that powerful love women have works against them. You know, think about it. Oh, I'll change him. Oh, he's not like that all the time. He's better than that. That's love talking, foolish love, you know, but that women love too well. And the truth is sometimes it works against them with some guys. And I prepare my daughter for that. My daughter have had a million speeches from me preparing her about guys. And you know, I also don't fault guys for having those desires and passion. But man, it takes a special guy to put that aside and follow Christ and deny the flesh. That takes a special guy.
It's the hardest thing you'll ever do.
It's hard. It's hard. But again, you'll have purpose in your life. You'll have meaning in your life. And when those storms come and they hit people who serve Christ as well, you're going to be standing on a rock and you can take it.
And you know, with everything we're talking about, we're looking at these percentages. What I'm trying to say with everything we're talking about based on these percentages is, girls, it doesn't mean that guys are awful. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that do awful things, but when you come to Christ and you truly understand who he is, he was tempted. He was a man that was treated bad. And obviously we say, yeah, but he's Jesus. You know, I get that. And I'm not justifying things that men do or kids do or young adults do that are wrong. But what I'm saying is neither you or us are any worse or better. We got to work together. We got to pull something out. And the only thing you got to pull something out is you make decisions every day of your life. You choose every day of your life. And one of the things that I tell guys that are not believers, I say, okay, so you don't believe in God. Fine, I respect that. But why wouldn't you give it a try? You try everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Just try it.
All right.
You know, sometimes you try drinking is not for you, so you drop it. You know, sometimes you try some shoes or a fashion that you drop. Okay, so I'm not saying that God, I'm not comparing God to those things because he's a lot more than that. But what I'm saying is after all this stuff that you're going through, why wouldn't you just try it?
Yeah. I do think sometimes God allows things, I'm not going to say he makes it happen, but he allows it to happen in our lives to bring us back to him. sometimes we're prideful, and sometimes it's a humbling circumstance in life will wake us up to it. Yeah. So
it's tough. It's really tough. And I want to say one more thing is that, for us to be here and talking to you again, I say it all the time. We don't have all the answers. We're not telling you that we know better. We don't. I have daughters, sons, Rick, same thing. We're not perfect at what we do. We've screwed up left and right. But the thing is, we talked about God is a God of second chances. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I know there's been some people that say, oh yeah, well, you're God, you could do something wrong. And then you say he forgives you and you move on. No, it's not that simple. It isn't that simple. Trust me. But you will only understand that if you give him a chance. I can tell you these things and we could talk about all this stuff. And if you never give that a chance, you will continue to be a part of the world that says, yeah, whatever, hypocrites and, holy rollers or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know what? Let's leave all that aside. We're just as real as you are. We made mistakes and we're still making them just like you. We're not saying that you're going to be a saint and you're never going to make mistakes. No. It's just that you will find yourself in Christ and you'll start understanding in a much better, clearer way. And some things are going to hurt. Other things are going to be cleared up and you're going to be like wowed by it. But it's a much better way of understanding what your simple purpose is here on this earth. And I say simple, meaning simply taking that. But your purpose is not taken as a simple thing by Christ because it's so important.
It's everything.
It's everything.
Yeah. It's to be a follower of Jesus. It's an ancient path, mm-hmm. and it's a high and holy calling.
Yes.
And it's not for the weak. It means everything, though. And so if there's one thing, my heart, guys, shouting to you guys when you read these statistics, especially the ones about suicide and so forth, hold on to God, find God, hold God, and seek God. Don't surrender your faith. Don't give up. Don't buy into the ways of the world. It's empty. And this is two guys in their 50s, and if you want, there's someone in the Bible named Solomon who wrote about, he chased everything. Yeah. And he said it's all for nothing. And he accomplished high-level things. So from architecture to riches to wives to everything. And he said it's empty. So
we have the story of the prodigal son.
I love the story because there's hope.
It's as real as it gets.
Yeah. I don't care how far you drifted off. God's still there for you. Awesome. We'll close it out there, huh, Frank? Guys, thank you for watching. God bless you and have a good night. And we'll see you next week.